Over the years I've tested hundreds of different pieces of backpacking and camping gear, and I've worked with some of the biggest outdoor brands in the world, and I've got enough gear on my shelf to open my own little camping shop. Yet I keep buying more and more. So in today's video I'm going to talk about my battle with gear acquisition syndrome, and that I might just have to accept that I can't be cured. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about something that probably a lot of you can relate to. So if you're anything like me, you sometimes end up scrolling through YouTube videos and websites, looking at the latest and greatest gear, and ending up with a load of stuff that you don't really need. So what is gear acquisition syndrome? Well, it's an obsession with acquiring more gear than you actually need. It's having that nagging feeling that if you just had this tent or the perfect sleeping bag, then your camping experience would be flawless. But in reality, it often leads to clutter, overspending, and even buyer's remorse or regret. It doesn't just have to be about camping gear. It's action camera season at the moment, and I've been hovering over the GoPro Hero 13, but I don't need it. I got to over 100,000 subscribers with just my phone, so I'm purposely filming all of this video with just my phone. I've already got more action cameras than one man could ever need. So I don't know if gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS as I'm going to call it for the rest of the video, is a real clinical condition. I could Google it, but probably tell me I've got something else as well. But for the last 7 or 8 years I've been making YouTube videos, and a lot of those videos have been centered around the gear that I've used, and I've sort of justified buying or accumulating all of this gear for YouTube. It's work. But I've not been making those kind of videos lately, yet I've still been buying more and more gear. It's the urge to test something new, to see if something's slightly better than what I've already got. So a couple of weeks ago, this turned up at the door. Another new stove. And to be honest with you, I've only fired it up once for a little video I did for Patreon. I've tested enough stoves over the years to know that this offers nothing more than most of the other little canister stoves that I've got. I know that the Soto Windmaster will do a job for me all year round in almost all conditions. Yeah, there are some occasions where you might want to double up on gear, such as having a warmer sleeping bag for winter and a cooler one for the summer months. Many people, including myself, have just used a bivvy bag in snow, so we don't always need to get sucked in by the latest greatest 4-season tent. So I can remember where this gear infatuation started for me. So all I've been doing really was bushcraft camping, and it didn't matter if the gear was heavy. What did matter is that it worked, but it wasn't really suitable for lugging up hills and mountains. And after breaking my back on a first wild camp up a hill, I dipped my toe down that rabbit hole of buying lightweight gear. I bought lightweight tent, stove, sleeping bag, and I'd accumulated quite a lot of gear that wasn't getting used. So why is it we fall into this trap? Well, part of it is marketing. The outdoor brands, or camera brands for example, with the GoPro, they make incremental upgrades telling you that this is the next best thing. And we get FOMO, the fear of missing out. And you also get a nice feeling when you get something new, whether it's fresh bed sheets or a new car. Everything about it just feels good. And then there's media. People like myself, the big brands, they send out samples to magazines and YouTubers, and to be fair, we're all gear enthusiasts and it's easy to get excited about something new. We tell you whether we like it or not, and if we do like it, it's usually a green light for people that are reading the magazines or watching the videos. This is the really important bit. How do you recognise the signs of gear acquisition syndrome? Have you got it? Symptom number 1, go and check your gear cupboard or shelf. If you've got more gear than you actually need, then you might want to continue watching. Symptom number 2, do you find yourself researching or looking at gear more than you're actually using the stuff you've got? Number 3, do you buy things on impulse? You see something that you like, without really researching it, boom, you've bought it. That is the kind of purchase that I get most of my buyer's remorse. And symptom number 4, do you get a little bit anxious not having the latest gear? You may have been happily blowing up your sleeping pad for years, but you see everybody's now using a little tiny flex tail pump, so you've got to have one. So I've got a few strategies that might help you out finding balance when it comes to gas. Firstly, prioritise quality, versatile gear over quantity. Get gear that is multi-purpose and that you are more likely to use over and over again. Instead of having a summer and a winter setup, try finding gear that you can use all year round. You could also try a minimalist approach. Try and get away with using as little gear as possible. That way you're not buying stuff or taking stuff with you that you don't really need. Another thing that you can do is have a checklist. So when you go camping, write a few things down that you were really missing or stuff that you didn't really need. This can really help dial in your setup. And finally, why not try before you buy? Ask some of your friends if they've got something that you can borrow. See if it's something that is really worth spending the money on. Or you could even rent bits of equipment as well. And if you can't do either of those, then buy something second hand. That way, if it isn't quite for you, you can usually get your money back. It's pretty obvious, even to me, that I've got way too much gear on the shelves. And I'm never going to use it all. But I feel like I'm trapped a little bit in this cycle of YouTube. So this is now our way of paying our bills and surviving, and I feel that I've got to keep doing this kind of thing. I'm really enjoying making some of the different kinds of videos as well, but if I'm honest, it's the outdoors and camping kind of videos that's the bread and butter. I suppose what I'm not very good at is letting go of stuff. Now, getting new gear and showing you new stuff is not a bad thing, but when you're not getting rid of the older stuff, that's when it becomes a problem. I guess I'm a gear hoarder too. Where did that come from? It's gone all foggy. I wonder if there's any kind of support groups out there for gearaholics. Let me know what you do when it comes to wanting or buying new gear. Do you have some kind of rule? One in, one out? Or do you only replace things when it's worn out or threadbare? So I'm resigned to the fact that I can't be cured. But for you, it's okay to have a little bit of gear envy. Trust me, from a man who knows, you don't need all the latest and greatest gear. Instead, focus on the journey and the camping experience. That is what matters most. Of course, gear can enhance that, but if the gear that you got is up to the job, then it's perfectly fine. So if you are new to camping and you really don't know where to start, then please check this video here where I'll go into a little bit more detail of the basics, what you really need just to get started.